football season. It's great to be back out there on the grass. Having 2 practices in, even though they're in shorts and T-shirts, we've got a lot done. I think when you look at how we move around out there, I'm real happy with that. I think the intensity the guys have come out with, very excited about that. And that speaks volumes, really, I think, from what they did through the summer and what they did with Adam Hall, what they did with our strength staff, and came into camp well-conditioned, ready to go. And I think we're in that competitive mode, and the execution, obviously, as we move forward, it's got to be better. But I like our whole demeanor out there on the football field.
Great, thank you. We'll open up for questions. We'll start with Troy Hirsch.
Hey, Coach, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you, Troy.
Thank you. Wondering if you're noticing from your team a little bit of relaxation or more focus on football with the COVID sort of behind and not all the strict protocols that you had to go through the last season and really up until this point.
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, a year ago it was much different. We started and then got shut down the next day, and really we're shut down for about a month. But is there a difference? A little bit. We're still, we got the new variant and all those kind of things that everybody's still worried about, and should be from a health and safety matters. But it's I think our training staff, our doctors, the people in our health department have done a really good job. And so from a standpoint of adapting every day as much, not quite like it was, Troy, last fall.
Jesse Matthews was in before you, and he said one of his goals was to become an all-conference receiver this season. What do you think when a player says that?
Well, I think you're excited and you want to help them do it, and particularly when you got a kid like Jesse. Jesse is as hard a worker as I've been around in my years of football, and he is the ultimate teammate, and really excited for him, and I hope it happens, because if it happens, then we're going to be okay.
He's not the biggest guy or the fastest guy maybe out on the field. What is it that he does so well that allows him to get open and make the plays he does?
Yeah, I think, Troy, he has very good instincts. I think his instincts for the game. I know he was a baseball player going through high school also, and was a pretty good baseball player. I think his hand-eye coordination that it takes, playing baseball, I think that probably is another factor. But I think his heart probably is the biggest thing.
Jesse also said that there was a 4-4, which is your record last year, posted in the locker room as motivation. How much do you think I don't know if the disappointment is the right word, but the 4-4 record you posted last year motivates this team this year?
Well, I think it has motivated him. I think, since winter conditioning, I think it's motivated them. I think, we have a thing, Troy, we go 10-80-10. Our top 10, our middle 80, and our bottom 10. And every run that we had, every lift that we had, everything that we do in practice is listed, and it's competitive. And daily, we as a staff, we go through the offense, we go through the defense, through the specialist, and we rank them. And then we put it right in front of the locker room, so as they walk in the locker room, they're going to see where they're at.
And then Caden McDonald, what do you expect from him this season?
Well, Caden is we're fortunate to have him on our football team. And when I say that, he's a guy who, number one, loves to play. Growing up in Texas, football is pretty important. I think his leadership, and his leadership as much as anything else, by example. And so really, he brings a lot to the table because of his experience and because of how he plays.
And finally, have you named a starting quarterback yet?
No, sir.
Okay. Thanks. We'll probably ask you every day if you don't mind.
Well, Kirk, you're going to ask me every day. Paul's going to ask me. Lee will be the only one who won't ask me. Right, Lee?
Brady, if you're talking about 3 quarterbacks, that means you don't have a starter yet. Thank you. But you got 4 weeks to solve it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lee.
Coach.
Thanks, Lee.
You asked for it.
Yeah,
Thank you, Coach.
I'm all right with it, Lee.
Thanks, Troy. And we'll go to Paul.
Brady, thanks for having me out yesterday. It was really noticeable that there weren't a lot of pauses for coaching during practice. Could you just take us through your philosophy on maximizing reps and just how you approach practices?
Number one, we want to have a high tempo in everything we do. From drill to drill, that horn goes. We want to keep the pressure. We want stress for everyone, coaches and players, because we want to make practice harder than a game and how we do things. And so that's a big part of it. We want to have a part of being a San Diego State Aztec is this program with toughness, right? And that's been part of this program. And I'm really excited how these guys participated during the summer and what they've done so far.
And the tight end room looks to be pretty talented, but apart from Bellinger, there isn't a lot of D1 experience. So what do these guys need to do over the next couple of weeks to kind of get up to speed and be ready for New Mexico State? Yeah,
and there's a lot of learning that's going on, and they have a tremendous coach. Savai Esalu is a guy who, played at Cal, was a tight end, understands the position, does a great job in the meeting room, and because I kind of go in and out of meetings. It's hard for me to get away from the D line, but I go in and out of meetings and how he teaches. Really, really excited about that.
And there was 4 players who were on the spring roster who aren't on the roster now. And if you'd be willing just to kind of go through and give an update on them. First one's Connor Mitchell.
Yeah, Connor decided he was done playing football. He had some injuries late in his career, missed some time. So he decided to move on.
Might be the same for the rest of them, but Brody Hughes, Clifton Stiles, Daniel Tuotuo.
Yeah, they've all decided to move on.
Perfect. Last question for me. Rashad Scott had an interception yesterday, and he's back. Where is he in his percentages of just how healthy he is, and having a player like that be able to persevere and continue to show up? What does his leadership mean to the team? Well,
Rashad, particularly in that room, I think, with Trent Thompson and Rashad in that room, Patrick McMorris, with Kyle in that room. I think, Rashad, I was so happy to see him out there participating like he did. I was a little nervous, to be honest with you, and I asked Patrick, our trainer, and I said, is he okay to do this drill? And he said, oh, yeah. I said, okay. So if anybody was going to baby him, it was me. But he feels great and looks great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And next we'll go to Kirk.
Hey, Brady, there's an awful lot of returning starters. During fall camp, how do you determine how much playing time to put them out on the field and how much do you hold them back? Because you know what you have in them and you don't want them to get hurt before the season even starts.
Yeah, there'll be a time, as you know, Kirk, as we go through fall camp where we'll feel, and as we evaluate those guys who have played a lot of snaps for us, if they've got enough of the speed of the game. That's the biggest thing. For them during fall camp, the physicalness and as much as anything, the speed of the game. And so, we're going to go up to Dignity Health, up to Carson I think it's about 12 days before, 10 or 12 days before yeah. And so we're going to go up there, and that will be probably the last big look at some of those guys.
And specifically like Greg Bell, would that he get a lot of reps up until then, and then like in that scrimmage, would he be used much in that scrimmage?
We'd probably get him some. I think all of them got to play a little bit. You know, they all got to be able to take a shower when we leave the facility. So I really think getting them up there, getting them in that environment, even though, as you stated, a lot of the starters have been there. But I think the speed of the game is the thing that we got to do a great job with.
And then in spring, you talked about the quarterbacks being live. How does their step change at all as you get closer to opening day?
Definitely, it will change. You know, we'll do as we get into some of the situational scrimmages. We may do a set of downs with their live, or a set of 3 or 4 downs that they're live. And then obviously we'll back away from that a little bit as we feel more comfortable with who's going to be that guy who's going to pull the trigger.
Right. And as the rest of practice unfolds this week, what kind of things do you hope to accomplish as you get a first full weekend?
Yeah. Number one, we'll start working a little bit more situationally. We've run inside drill, and that's big for us. 9-on-7, because we have to be able to run the football, and defensively, obviously, you've got to be able to stop people from running the football. So from that part of the schedule is what we really got to hone in on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Kirk. Any more questions out there?
Yeah, I've got some for Brady. Hey, Brady, with the spread attack, with the RPO packages, with the heavy-duty big boy running game, you put an awful lot on quarterbacks that haven't really played a heck of a lot. Is there any concern about overload in the playbook that maybe you're asking these 3 quarterbacks to take on a huge responsibility?
I would say yes. I think you're always, and, you know, we talk about this as a staff, offensively and defensively, you know, it's about what they know. It's not going to be about what we know. And I think Jeff and Kurt both have done a really good job of how they're installing and how it makes sense. There's always a why and how it makes sense. All right, from you know what you're doing with that RPO in the read off the RPO is still, you know, part of a give game. So, you know, it goes hand in hand, because up front you're blocking the same thing every time. So that piece of it is really good. And now, you know, as we install a little bit more, we'll get into some of the counters and misdirections.
And in terms of the 3 quarterbacks, are they all getting balanced snaps every practice, or will you do it on alternating days? How do you run that workload for them?
Yeah, right now they're getting alternate snaps and they're getting the same snaps. The only difference is Will gets a couple snaps in there to keep him being evaluated and keep him up to snuff in what we're doing.